Hello and welcome everyone to the Castles, Cantrips and Conniptions podcast. My name is Evan.
My name is Edward.
And if this is your first time listening, we have a podcast where we talk about fantasy and fantasy related stuff in video games, movies, but most especially we talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
So, wasn't really the plan, but it kind of just ended up like that.
Yeah, true, because
we
there's
discuss
so
all
much.
sort of things.
Talk about stuff that
a
happened
lot.
in our lives related to fantasy. Basically anything we can think of. So if you enjoy, please subscribe and like the podcast episode so we can see which ones do well and which ones we maybe have to put in a little bit more effort.
Yep.
So that was always appreciated. But anyway,
you have something prepared as you always do.
Yeah, we have a lot of topics still on backlog, but we are getting through them. And this episode, I had the idea to really talk about some of the stuff that's been happening in video games, because there's a bit of interesting news, a couple topics, as well as something related to tabletop roleplay.
Of course, we can't go an episode without it.
Yeah, but this, instead of like books or our own campaigns, it's something more digital. So more like a video game, but not a video game per se.
In the classic sense.
Yeah.
It's more of a digital tool than a video game.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. Let's do some news first, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, two bits of interesting news. A new Witcher game is currently in development.
Yeah.
By CD Projekt Red. They announced that they are in the early stages of a new Witcher game, The Witcher 4. An official title hasn't been announced yet, of course, but it's a new Witcher, which is going to be developed using the Unreal Engine 5. Unreal 5 by Epic Games. They have this collaboration, and they're going to use their new engine to make this new game. And they announced this on a live stream of Epic Games, where they showed what you can do with Unreal 5 as it has been released, and some of the projects that people are working on, one of them being CD Projekt Red. And I'm quite excited because I watched this live stream and what Unreal 5 can do, and it's like the most insanely realistic, photorealistic stuff you can imagine.
If only my potato could run it.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. It probably can. Sure. Of course, ray tracing needs a special
bit of
graphics
hardware.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you will eventually have to upgrade PCs, but as far as consoles go, they have this already integrated in the new PlayStation and new Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm for like the new big AAA games, like the new Elder Scrolls, and I think I'm just gonna play them on console, which I know is kind of a sin considering low FPS, blah blah blah. But I think with the new PS5, you can get away with a lot of that stuff. So because my PC, I know it probably won't be able to handle the new type of games coming out. But but I'm still very excited. I am kind of worried though, because it's Epic Games, and you always have to be slightly worried when it's Epic Games.
Why?
Well, because they the program, the Epic Games Store, for example. I'm pretty sure it's been proven to collect your data off your PC and cause slowdowns and I think the Epic Games company is just kind of scummy in a lot of things.
Well, yeah, I did hear about this. I'm not sure if it's been fixed yet or.
Yeah,
if they've
I'm
been,
not sure either. I don't have it on my PC. I don't have it installed on my PC for that reason. Yeah, so that's like one thing I'm kind of worried about. But on the other hand, I'm really excited. Like you said, like the capabilities of that engine are insane. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
probably get a really nice looking game. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's like a Witcher game, and well, the developers know how to make a Witcher game. They've been made 3. Witcher 3 has been like insanely popular, and it's really really good.
Yeah, true.
But about the engine, like it is extremely accessible. So even small time developers can make super realistic games using this engine. You don't need to be a AAA title developer to have access to this engine. And like what you say about the store and collecting data, well, first off, everyone already has all of our data. That's one. So what kind of data would Epic really want still that they don't have yet? And two, like, these are, of course, they're related. That's made by the same company, but they are still two things that are separate from each other, like the engine and the store.
Yeah, but isn't it like if I almost think it's like a deal. Okay, you get our engine, but you put your game on our store.
Yeah, well, that's something. Yeah, I'm not sure if that like the new Witcher, because they have this special collaboration. It might, but I don't think they're going to really. Every developer that uses Unreal has to use their store. I don't think that's going to be a thing, because that will really deter some developers from using the engine.
Yeah.
In the first place, because ultimately what Epic wants is as many people using their engine, because that's how they increase their sales. So they will like, yeah, they won't put that restriction to only make them for their store, because like I said, that will really deter some or many developers from using it. Like, and the more people experience Unreal 5 on across all platforms, that will, I'm guessing, that will inspire a lot of future developers to use this engine and like push the boundaries of making games and or making these online tools, because it's not just for games, it's also for, like they showed in the live stream, for animations.
I think
telling stories
actually
and
seen
architecture.
Like I've seen a demo of the engine. Not quite sure, but it was like this sort of Tomb Raider like girl. She was walking through a cave with a torch and stuff, and that was all like this magical effect. Am I?
Yeah, that was indeed was the first demo.
That's
got a couple ones after that, but that was really the first introduction to like.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen, but it looked amazing.
Yeah.
The thing is always, I'm like, okay, well that looks really cool, and then like, oh great, we'll have to get it on PlayStation, so it's going to look less than it would on PC, which is fine, I guess. It's a trade-off. You don't have to upgrade your PC. But you do get the game at less graphics, which isn't really a bad thing per se, but it's still sort of a trade-off you have to make there.
Yeah, it will take some time before all developers will really get to grips with the new engine. That's always in the early stages, but after like between 5 and 10 years, like we will have games like that. Like that first demo, it really shows the capabilities of the engine.
Sure, we will. Yeah.
It will just take some time for games to reach such a level, but it will get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, really.
Yeah.
They just need a proper breakthrough, or like you said, really understand what they're working with, and then a lot becomes possible. Which is the same for like VR as well. In like, what is it, 6-7 years, we've gone from the most basic VR to like this complex first person shooters with like reloading systems and crap like that, and yeah, so
Yep.
I mean,
True. And without
it's gewoon fast.
without cable, like the new
Without a
Oculus,
cable,
Oculus
indeed.
Quest.
And install all the games right on the headset instead of the PC. It will just run from the headset. That's also something I think is pretty groundbreaking in that sense. No cables, no cameras, or just one camera.
Yeah, the new
So-
PlayStation VR 2 has also been announced. And
Okay.
that one doesn't need an external camera. It has cameras in the headset, which
Mhm.
tracks the movement of your head and where
Okay.
you're looking. It also has eye tracking, so it can adjust the image on the two screens in front of your eyes to fit better to what you're looking at, because it has these sensors that track your eye movement.
Okay, that's
It
cool.
still
Yeah,
does have a cord, but just the one, and it's not really
Yeah,
invasive.
No, it's not really. You don't really mind. I think what I did when I was playing the the standard games that come with the PSVR headset. I was playing the London Heist one, and I was shooting and then dashing behind the desk and stuff. I just put the cable in my belt and gave it some space so I could just move around freely. Didn't really bother. My dog, because I do it in the living room, my dog just came sprinting in, nearly pulled down the entire like console from the wall, from the thing it was standing on. But that's fine. That's fine. It's also funny when I'm trying to calibrate the camera, then she just walks in front of it the entire time, and that thing has to recalibrate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so interesting that like it feels like yesterday that thing was released, the original PSVR headset. Now already moving on to a second one, and it's already like, oh, we can do this and that and this and that. Because I think the PSVR headset is always going to be like a little bit more of a cheaper option, not quality wise per se, but like it's just cheaper compared to like an Oculus. Because you need a PlayStation and you need the headset, which is probably around like maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing like 8 to 1,000 euros.
Between 8 and 1,000, yeah.
Yeah, 800 1,000. But like for a PC and an Oculus, unless you get the one that runs everything straight from the headset, but I've seen that the games are of less quality. You have to get a PC that can handle VR, which is really expensive. You have to get the games and you have to get the headset. You have to get the cameras. You gotta set that all up. So I think like if you want to get into VR, I think the PlayStation VR one is probably the best to start with.
Yeah, if you already have a console and you're not really into PC gaming and mainly just console, like the PSVR is probably indeed the best option. But I think as most people who play games also have a gaming PC, even if it's just lesser, like a simple one, like the Oculus Quest might be their preferred option.
Yeah, that could be.
Because there are good games on Oculus Quest.
Oh, I'm sure that there
PlayStation.
are, like, but it's just they have to downgrade some stuff because like they can only fit so much hardware on that headset before it becomes too heavy to wear.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to.
Oh yeah,
everything,
sure.
But
Yeah, indeed. Not saying one is better. I'm just saying like if you want to get into VR, it's probably the best option you have is to get a. And if you don't own like a proper PC, then the best thing you could do is just get a PlayStation VR headset.
right.
You can get them like second hand, pretty cheap as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What did it went? Oh yeah, like the new PlayStation VR also has I think like pressure sensors in the headset, so
Okay.
you can feel when there's like a bullet rushing past you
Oh
or like
god.
hit you in the head. You feel like a little bit of pressure on
Oh, that's awesome.
inside. Also the new um, stuff to that monitors your hands, like the
Mhm.
control, like the what you call it again?
I'm not sure what they call it.
Yeah, doesn't really joysticks. Maybe they look more like joysticks. Which has all the PlayStation buttons on it, of course, but it also monitors your finger movements.
Okay.
So you can make some really realistic. Well, will be more immersed when you look at your hands. You move your
Instead of
fingers
just
and you see
open
them
or
in
close.
the game. Yeah, indeed. So
Okay.
yeah, that's really going to be. Well, I'm not sure. What's your opinion on VR in general? Like, do you
Mm,
think it will enhance the games, or
well,
do you think it's
I
just really a
think
gimmick?
I think it should be separate from the rest of the game. So um, I don't think you should make VR versions of every game that comes out, because that's what a lot of people want. Like, oh, we need to make a VR of this and that. And I don't think you should do that. Just have a couple like games that are really popular or would fit very well in the VR, um, like um, like the way of playing. For example, like an Arma 3, I know you can play that in VR. That's really awesome in VR. Skyrim is pretty cool in VR. It wasn't really properly executed in a lot of cases, but nonetheless, it's cool in VR. Fallout as well, but not every single game has to be VR. So I think they should separate it and make VR only games and make just regular games, and then a few select games can be both. But I don't think you
Right.
should go all out with VR. Yeah, I don't think you should do that.
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I've had plenty experience with the like PlayStation headset. I don't own an Oculus because I'm not planning on selling my kidney just yet. Um, but I think from what I've played, a lot of this stuff is like very simple. The games are quite simple. You know, if you're playing like a
Yeah,
PC
it's
game
quite
or
simple
something, that's
looking.
no, not necessarily like the graphics are bad or something
Oh,
like that.
right.
It's more like the actual game loops are often quite simple. Go this,
Ah,
kill that guy. Go there, kill that guy. Grab that and defeat the enemy like with this item or something, or move to the next level. With
right.
PC games, yeah, often have a lot of buttons and a lot of mechanics and stuff. And I feel like you can't really do that in VR. It has to be quite simple
Yeah,
and basic. So, for example, a first-person
that's
shooter
true.
works well in VR because it's quite simple. You walk around the map, you shoot a guy. But if you're going up like a game that's quite complex in its nature, I can't really think of one. Maybe The Witcher, because it has like the potions and the different weapons and the inventory screens. I don't think that's gonna work in VR.
Yeah, I
Just
think that's a good point.
because it's too
Uh,
complex for all like the limitations that you have with it.
yeah. No, I can definitely see that, and that also strengthens the argument of making VR only games.
Yeah.
It just needs to be. They need to be, well, also complicated, but as much as VR allows it to be complicated.
Yeah, have it be
Um,
complicated in its own way, apart from the standard games.
Yeah, it will require a bit more thinking outside the box than
Mm-hmm.
just have different button inputs and inventory screens.
You know, there was this one game for PC which really messes with your perception and stuff. I'm not sure what it's called again, but it's like it's a really interesting game. It's a sort of a puzzle game, kind of like what's that game again?
Explain what the game was about, because I play a lot of puzzle games.
So yeah, you move through this big building. You have to do a bunch of puzzles. There's not really a storyline from what I've seen, and it just really messes with your perception. Like you pick up a block, like a really large block, and you pick it up and it becomes small all of a sudden when you're holding it, and when you put it down again it stays small and stuff like that. So it really messes with that, and I think that could be really interesting in VR, because it's like you physically see the object you're interacting with. You can hold it right in front of your face. So I think that's really cool if they get more games that play with human perception in VR, rather than just here's a good game from the PC or from like PlayStation, let's just slap a VR engine on it and get it to work. So that I agree with you there. It should be separate from other games, and it should be unique in their own way, in their own execution of those games.
Yeah. No. What was the game again? Like that definitely works as in VR. What's it called again? It's something with an S.
Simulacrum?
No,
that's not it. Space Marines. I've been making more Warhammer, building more Warhammer figurines. Help me.
Have you painted some of them already?
No. I still need to get that done, but didn't really have time last couple days. It's been real busy.
Right.
But I will pretty much be off for the next 3 weeks, so I probably will get my Space Marines done, or at least a few of them. I also need to finish the last motorcycle guy that I have left from my starter kit. I finished all the Necrons though, that's pretty cool, and the basic Space Marines are done as well. So.
Right. The game is called Superliminal.
Superliminal, yep, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Really cool game, and it does that definitely. That's one that fits VR.
Or a game like a Super Hot, which I know already exists for VR, but that's like that's the perfect type of game that you need to be looking for in a VR setting, or like a game where you pilot an aircraft or something. Something that is based on your perception. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And what do you think of combining VR and Dungeons and Dragons? How do you think that would look like?
Yes, it already exists. I know it already exists. There was this Kickstarter, this ad campaign where you and your friends could join a lobby in VR, and you have like this fictional table, like this VR table in front of you with like animated spells and monsters and stuff, and like an animated battle map which you could walk around. So I know that already exists. I think it's really cool. I just think that it's not going to be used much, because getting a D&D group together is difficult, let alone getting a D&D group which all own a VR headset. That's even more difficult.
Yeah,
so
but say that you will get a group together regularly, and they all have VR, like they all have jobs and their own money. They can get a good PC, good headset, and you would use VR to play the game. Do you think it would be better, or like more immersive, or cooler?
I think it would be more immersive. I think it would be more immersive than tabletop, because I know with the program that I've seen before, I don't know what it's called anymore, but you could also you could like 3D design an avatar of your character and then upload it, and then you would look exactly like your character in the VR world. So it'd literally just be the characters talking to each other, which is awesome. But for me, I can game normally for long amounts of time, but VR for me is like a 3-hour limit. Afterwards, I just feel horrible for the rest of the day. If we're having like a D&D session, which is longer than 3 hours, I'm not gonna survive. Especially as like a DM, someone who has to take care of a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that I can understand. Yeah. So Anyway, that's a tool for D&D, but there's also some other tools out there that are still used with tabletop, but that will enhance the experience.
Yes.
Like some digital tools. So one of them that was a Kickstarter that I also have and that I tried out a couple days ago. It's called Dungeon Alchemist.
Yeah.
And it's done really well on Kickstarter. Like within the millions, people backed, which really helped them in creating this tool. And they use artificial intelligence to generate certain maps. So, for instance, you have this start off with a flat map. It can have some hills, maybe some trees, and then you select a type of room. So, for instance, a mansion or a dungeon. Then you drag a square within this space, which is just like 5-inch squares, like the normal tabletop size.
Mm-hmm.
And then you click generate after you made this space, and the game will then generate a room with all sorts of stuff in it, exactly to the space that you created. So all the tables are in the correct place, like there's paintings on the wall, and this is all AI generated. There isn't anything like the same every time. It's all based on
randomly generated.
The size of the room, and how the room looks like and what makes sense. So if a room has a hallway, then it will recognize that it's a hallway and that it needs hallway specific items.
Yes, hallway specific items.
Yeah, maybe a bit vague.
No, I understand. Like knights, like the armor, or like a banner on the wall.
Yeah,
stuff
like that.
I just found it funny. Hallway specific items.
Yeah, but if you have a hallway and then you add a bedroom, for instance, and you attach it to the hallway, then it will automatically place a door towards the hallway and not in a different direction.
Yeah.
And it will place the bed in a position that isn't next to the door, for instance. Like the program knows where to place certain items that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
And this tool is completely 3D, so you can essentially walk around it, and it's really realistic. So it's not like, it's not photorealistic, but it's still really immersive. It's not any simple like square stuff. Like it all has angles, and you can place items anywhere you want yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make it as big as you want, the spaces, so you can really make big maps, but you can also turn it into a top-down map, so you could display it on
like
a horizontal
battle
TV, a battle map, and you can, I'm not sure if it has been integrated yet, but eventually the developers want to make the maps available in other programs, like Roll20, for instance. So you can insert the map automatically in there and use like fog of war and stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
When you stand in a room, you have a cone of vision, and it reveals stuff in this cone. So it's not specific to the program they've created. They want to make it compatible with other programs as well, which will really help in like becoming a tool that everyone wants to use but can use as well.
Yeah, so speaking of that, is it you've used it, is it quite heavy? Like is it like difficult to run, or is it just
no, not at all. It's
okay.
Normal. It doesn't have ray tracing, or not yet at least.
But the graphics, I'm looking at the Steam page while we're talking. The graphics look really good on the and the animation as well.
Yeah, it's not intense at all. Like, I'm not sure what to compare it to, but it's not an intense program or anything. I think
Alright.
that when I downloaded it, it was like less than 3 gigabytes. So
Yeah, because it's all generated, so it should just be the assets, and then
yeah, just the
That's it.
assets. It's just the generating itself that will be the most intense, but still not that intense.
Alright. Yeah, it looks
compared
pretty
to, like,
cool.
other
I mean,
games.
you can get it now on Steam for 38 euros. Not sponsored, by the way. It looks cool. I'm glad to hear you can run it, because that's always a big thing. It's like, okay, this is a really cool program, but if only I could literally just use this. But yeah,
Yeah, I think
it
you
looks quite
will be
interesting.
able to use it as well. Like, I'm definitely going to use it for future campaigns or adventures, just to see what it's like and if it can be done quite quickly, because that's one other thing. You can really quickly make these maps. If you don't want to do any editing yourself, you can just generate it and it will make sense, because it's artificial intelligence. It knows where to place items and stuff like that.
So
So you
let's
don't
say
need really-
your player's suddenly going to combat in a random tavern and they want the battle map, then you can just open up Dungeon Alchemist
Yeah.
and just yeet a random tavern down and fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you can edit it, but you don't have to. So it's really quick, really intuitive as well. I have to use it a bit more, but I'm definitely going to use it in future projects. Yeah, because like other tools, maybe you can tell a bit more about some other tools.
Yeah, I
Um,
use Incarnate, which is a map making software for your PC. It's browser based, and it's free, but it also offers a subscription, plan for like all the assets that they make, and like unlimited map size and stuff like that. So I do have the gold option, so like the subscription, and I use it to not only make continent maps, I use it to make city maps, but I also use it to make battle maps. So it's really interesting. You can scale it. Let's say I make a map of a country. Within that map, I can place a map of a province. Within that province, I can place a map of a city, and within that city, I can place a map of an individual building. So that's really awesome that you have these layers. You can't add the layers in the program themselves, but if you use a World Anvil, for example, you upload the world scale map first, and then you upload the city or battle map second, then you can add them linked together. So if let's say you click on a city, then you get the map of the city. So I use Incarnate mostly, or I have used it once. It's called Owlbear Rodeo, which is also a free program on the internet. You can just you can log in there and you can make a very simple dungeon with fog of war and stuff. I haven't used it enough to properly give my opinion. I've used it once and it was alright. It takes a bit of getting used to. It doesn't work with like accounts. It works more like a sort of like a Kahoot game, really.
right.
You join as a DM and you can set stuff up, and it saves everything you do in your browser cache. So when you come back, you don't have to save it; it'll just be there.
Okay. Is it 2D?
It is top down, yeah, and Incarnate as well. It is top down. It is 2D, but it kind of depends on how you work with it. Because I've seen people make literal art in Incarnate with the assets they're given. So depends on how creative you are. But both are R&D to 2D, and then there's a last program I have used once. I've used it more often, but one time for a battle map. It's called Flowscape on Steam, and
Yeah,
this
I've
it's
used
like
it
the,
too.
you use it as well. It's this 3D asset-based area designer, or like a level builder, and you can add a top-down view with a grid on top, so that's interesting. And if you want to, you could film it or like a screen record it, and then you have this animated battle map. If you just play the like video on loop on like a TV table or something,
Yeah.
or if you add it to another program, then you can make it look really cool. So
Yeah.
I've used those three in the past. I've used Incarnate most often, but when I have a physical session, which I have had, most of my sessions have been physical sessions, I just draw a battle map on like just a mat with a marker. So when I
Yeah.
do make online maps, then it's usually in one of those three programs.
Yeah, like I do that too, like more on tabletop, like just draw a map, because that's, well, the best available for a session like that. And online tools like Flowscape, for instance, I usually just use when I have a bit more time on my hands to plan a session and just show the type of environment that the party will be in.
When it's like difficult to describe, then it can really be helpful to have a visual aid as well, right?
Yeah, true. Like Flowscape is really useful to make stuff like that. Like anything can be adjusted: fog, smoke, lighting, day and night cycles. Just make an environment. You can do it quite quickly as well. I don't use it for battle maps. That's a bit more difficult in my opinion.
It
also is. What I think could be done better is flipping through certain object assets, because you select a type of theme, buildings for instance, different themes, types of buildings, and then you have to scroll through the items until you get something that you want. So you can't open a new tab which shows all the items and you can select one and insert it. You have to scroll through them, so you can't see them all at once, which is a bit annoying. So that could be done better. But in general, like Flowscape, to set the scene and the tone, it's quite useful. Just make sure that you have some time to get used to the program itself and to make something, because you won't be able to do it in a day in advance of a session.
No, it's gonna take a while. You can do it quickly, but only really when you're familiar with the basics. It took me, I think, 2 maps to really figure out how the program works. And a map takes me about, I really take my time for it, so it took me about a day of just chill work, so no like pressure or anything, just relaxing. It is quite a satisfactory program, so it's like, we'll just sit down and make a map, but it's also quite heavy to run, so at least for me, I have a pretty decent PC, so that might be something to take into consideration. But yeah, so for just in general, I use Incarnate as my go-to battle map designer. What I'm currently doing in the preparation for the Convergence campaign, I am making battle maps in Incarnate, and then I'll just copy them onto a battle map, a physical one, so I know exactly where something is and when something will arrive and stuff like that. So I make the online versions for like to set the mood for myself and to know where to put things, so I can just quickly copy and paste really onto an IRL battle map.
Yeah, true. Like I hope to be. We talked about this before this recording, but at some point have a table with a screen and where you can just project a battle map onto.
TV table.
Yeah, that that would be really cool and useful, and more immersive. You can make more realistic stuff than just draw a couple lines on a battle map, and put stuff on top of it.
You could always use like minis and stuff like Dwarven Forge, but still, it's really awesome when you can watch that table and you can literally just see animations and like leaves blowing off trees and fire actually moving.
Yeah.
So but it's really expensive, of course, and not every room has ample room for a TV table. But
No.
I think it does really add a whole new level to your experience. And then you can, of course, use the digital versions of the maps and programs like Dungeon Alchemist, just right there on the TV, instead of having to print out a battle map of a screenshot, or to, like what I'm doing, copy the battle map onto a physical one. Unless you play online, which then bless you and all your fancy tools. Then you can just use whatever you want. But I like to see my friends in person, so I like to play physical games more.
Yeah, online is good and all, but it has a lot more management around the session and during the session as well.
Yeah, I think running combats is easier online because you have everything there on your screen than it is physically.
Yeah.
But the whole like vibe and the role playing is really difficult, I think, through a computer screen or through a webcam, if your players even have a webcam, which was what I was struggling with. We were playing an online game and like 2 players lacked a webcam, so you're just talking to a Discord icon, which kinda it's kinda difficult to really get into it. So for physical games, just copy them, or if you're really rich, get a TV table and enjoy.
Yeah, or if you're even richer, you can get like one of these big printing machines that can print like A3 size papers or A2 size, and just print a battle map onto a large sheet of paper.
If you want to be that guy, then just do that. You can also just buy an adventure grid and just be done with that. But sure, whatever, man.
Yeah, just know that there's a lot of tools out there, physical, digital, that you just have to find what you prefer and what your players prefer, and just try stuff out. It's no harm to just try stuff out. One of the first things I did, one of the first sessions I ever ran, getting interested in D&D, was I printed 4 A4 papers with a grid on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Laminated it, attached them to each other with just some tape.
I think you stapled them together, didn't you?
No, I used just some clear tape to attach them to each other. It didn't fold up at all, but it worked fine, and I used like Lego figurines as like players and enemies.
Yeah, I used to, before I owned any minis, I used like Risk, the game Risk. I used, and Monopoly as well, I used miniatures from Monopoly and Risk games to indicate enemies and players. So I had like the green pins you have 2 types of green pins, one which is like this sort of weird 8, I don't know, it's a weird shape. We used that for the players, and we used a more simple one for player allies, the green ones, and then we used yellow ones for treasure, and we used red ones for enemies, and I used the big ones to indicate that there was a boss, and the small ones for just minions. So that's the poor life that I used to have before I owned miniatures.
Yeah, but that's fine. Like,
I'm probably
you have
gonna
to start
end up
somewhere, get a grips with the basics before you can really expand your tool set.
Probably gonna end up using some Warhammer minis as well. The ones with the swords, I think that's fine because I don't have that many yet. But yeah, that should be okay. I do plan on getting some stuff printed for me. I know a guy, and I design my own minis in in Hero Forge, and I use that to get the plans for the three characters, and then just send them to him, and hopefully he'll have time to print them for me.
Yeah.
But I'll only really be doing that with like really important characters, so I'm not gonna do that for every single dude you come across. You're probably gonna end up fighting some Space Marines because your boy still doesn't have enough. But I have a little wish list, so I should be
still not enough.
Still never enough miniatures.
I see.
I do have a little wish list of stuff that I'm gonna probably get next month. Some more minis. We'll see.
Yeah. It's just like preparation is also something. If you have a lot of time on your hands, you can prepare some super cool stuff, place them on the table, like really build something. But it doesn't necessarily make it a better session.
No, the session can be absolute crap, even though you have 600 euros worth of stuff on the table. If it just isn't going well, it's not going to go well. Like a session's success doesn't depend on whether you have minis or not, because the most fun sessions I had were the ones with the stupid risk
right,
like bins that we used.
Yeah.
But it does help with immersion and with the overall experience if you can actually put down something physical on the battle map. Because it used to be when I just played in your games, I was so impressed. Like, oh, he has a battle map and he draws walls on it and stuff, and it's so interesting and immersive. And then I was totally obsessed with that. And then I got a battle map for myself. And then next session, I turn up your house. You pull out like a whole tavern of walls and furniture, like physical 3D
I'm
minis.
sorry.
And I was like, oh my god, I need that. And since I was like, I'm probably gonna get some. And then for Christmas I got a tavern box and like this town square box, and I was like, yep, this is gonna cost me a lot of money. So
once I have a lot more space for myself as well, like my ideal gaming room, to get into this, if you don't mind.
Oh hell yeah, let's get into this. I don't care what
my ideal gaming room would just be like a table in the middle with like a TV or stuff like that, like a gaming table, and just on one side of the wall just have all these different boxes with like sorted by themes, like dungeon, tavern, etc. Tables, chairs, just this whole wall all labeled, and I can just pull stuff out that I need for this session, and place them on the table. Miniatures as well, like elves, humans, evil, good, large monsters, or like really tiny beasts, just all sorted in boxes, so I don't have to dig through the boxes that I have now, just stashed everywhere and nowhere. Just really accessible,
properly organized.
Organized, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's kind of exactly the same, except I would also, because for some reason I've discovered I have a weird passion for decorating rooms. That's odd, but sure, whatever. So I would also then like add this sort of rustic like wood to the walls, like in like a medieval tavern. You know what I'm talking about? You have like these dark woods, sort of pillars almost. I'd add that to the walls. I'd hang up swords. I'd hang up banners. I'd have like art drawn, put it on the wall, like wanted posters or something. And just stuff from my games or stuff from fantasy, or that give it this sort of medieval vibe, I just make that the entire room. My rest of the house could be normal, just that one room.
Just that one room, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd also have like a TV table, like you said, except it could also flip around and just be a flat table, so you can like build terrains on there for Warhammer and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
or
there are
just-
some cool gaming tables, companies that produce these tables. Like it has like holders for glasses or like cans, or like dice, really customizable, modular. Like you have this TV, but you can also swap it for like a more like felt to place stuff onto, or like place a wooden like flat piece of wood on there to make it into a table. Really modular and useful. Really expensive as well,
Of course.
but hugely customizable.
Yeah. I mean, once you're in the position to get that room, oh boy, I'm gonna decorate the shit out of it if you'll let me, of course. But I'm already thinking like you could add like special chairs or something with like you add furs onto them and put a helmet on like on the near the wall and the fucking swords everywhere, spear in the corner, and just make a whole ass like tavern sort of castle-esque room where you'd play role-playing games.
Yeah, let's hope the future has stuff like that in store for us.
Let's hope so too.
Yeah, if we still have this podcast, when the time happens, we'll take some pictures.
We could make
progress
like
pictures.
a room tour.
Room tour, yeah.
We'll be
But don't
awesome
expect
vloggers.
that anytime soon.
No, it's not gonna be in the foreseeable future. From now on, it's just gonna be the dinner table and then annoying my mom with my presents downstairs. So
Yeah, so maybe two other bits of news, like they're not really long, if you want to.
sure.
Let's see, let's start with this one. I have to mention it, Elden Ring, again, of course.
When do you not?
Yeah. Within the first 3 weeks, it has reached 12 million copies sold,
Jesus. Okay. Nice.
which is not only the best sold Souls game,
Best soul. That's a tongue twister. Best soul game.
sold Souls game, yeah. It has also surpassed Dark Souls 3 in total, which has sold 10 million copies in total. So
Nice.
Elden Ring has already, in the first 3 weeks, went above that with 2 million. And it's going to probably be even more. So yeah, that's one thing. So that's really good. I like that that sold that many, because it really shows from software, the developers, that
The
there's
might of
demand
From
for it.
Software.
And they can expand their own studio as well with the sales and like people that really set themselves on the map again, which they already are, of course, but now even more. They also said that they want to push the Elden Ring as a story world to other media.
Okay.
So for instance,
that's cool.
Bloodborne has gotten comic books, Dark Souls 3 as well, actually. So we're going to see a lot more Elden Ring in other types of media.
You think
they haven't
there's gonna be
mentioned-
a movie or a show?
Yeah, they haven't mentioned exactly what.
Could be an anime. That'd be interesting.
So just really keen on getting more Elden Ring outside of gaming.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. What would you be excited about?
I think an
Considering
Elden
Elden
Ring
Ring.
anime could be really interesting. Or, well, just animation in general. Doesn't have to be an anime, but like sort of anime-esque. Like The Witcher did. The Nightmare of the Wolf. Sort of that
Right.
thing. Like an animated movie or something.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of difficult
Yeah, that
because
would
there's
be-
no real clear. Like the protagonist doesn't talk, right? It's
No,
just,
it doesn't.
Yeah, that's would be the more difficult part, but
Yeah, it's
who
Elden Ring
knows?
or like the Souls games are really a lonesome journey. So to convey that to an interesting TV show, movie, anime would be quite difficult. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like probably some more comics, they are familiar with it. But other than that, like we'll probably get some DLC maybe. Like I haven't even finished the game myself, and I'm already in 90 hours. Sorry.
Jeez.
I am getting towards the end. I can see the end stuff, end game stuff. So I'm getting there, but it will definitely go over 100 hours.
I mean,
just the first
even if it
playthrough.
didn't take you that long, you just invest 100 hours.
Yeah, it's such a huge game. It's insane. Yeah, I can go on for a lot more hours. Maybe once I finish the game, I can do a proper review. I
Elden
don't
Ring.
understand the story at all. I have 90 hours. I don't understand.
That's an honest answer. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
All I know is that I must kill.
That I must kill
Yes.
everything in my path. I have a little bit of stuff that I can see. Oh, that's related and that's related, but the whole picture, like, no idea.
The red line is missing.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I should know already by this time, or that I'm just stupid, or that it really is that convoluted and complicated. I'll have to watch some videos on the lore to really understand it. But I won't do that until I finish the game, of course.
Indeed. Ow, fuck. I just cut myself with my with my like miniature fucking gutting thing. Ow!
Don't do it
That hurts.
again.
No, I'm not gonna do it again. I put it away.
Oh, okay. Good.
Edward
Yeah.
dies live on air.
Anything more on Elden Ring or anything related? Or can I go to the last piece of news?
No. Go to the last one. I mean, I haven't played the game, so I can't say a single thing about it.
No. Yeah, again, you definitely should at some point, but...
I know.
Just see
If
for
only I
yourself.
had time.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. You should still play it though. You should still do it.
Yeah, you
Do
might
it.
get around to it
Just do
eventually.
it.
Like, I saw someone who was going to play Skyrim for the first time.
Oh
So
god,
I'm like, okay,
no.
yeah, no,
Poor
sure.
soul. Don't do it.
Yeah,
On which of the 16,000 platforms?
Nintendo Switch. So
Oh my god,
that's
no. It's like...
Well, it'll run.
oh yeah, I played my first Call of Duty. Oh, that's awesome. Where? On my iPad.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but it
Take
will do.
the Get
Like
Out back.
the game's 10 years old. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, when we're like grandpas and our grandkids, Goals, Papa, I found a game from ancient times. What it's called? Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Yeah, they just released it for the 16,000th time on the PlayStation 644.
Yeah.
I remember playing that on the 3, good son.
Yeah, exactly.
Back when Todd Howard was still a human and not a brain in a septic tank with a machine attached to it.
Yeah, it just works.
He just works.
He just works till the end of time.
The machine.
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah,
Bezos
yeah,
has transcended humanity.
We'll be playing Skyrim on Mars in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
Skyrim in space.
Skyrim
God.
in space.
On
Starfield,
the,
right?
On the International Space Station, just walking up the Yol ball groove.
If it still exists.
If it still exists, of course.
Yeah, so... Okay. A couple days ago, I watched the new Harry Potter movie. Fantastic
Mhm.
Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. I really liked it, really enjoyed it. Thought it was better than the second one, but not as good as the first one.
Okay.
It is sort of an open ending, but it is kind of closed. It closes some storylines. But we're getting a lot of more Harry Potter soon at the end of this year, with Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh.
They had a gameplay overview video a couple of weeks ago, which showed the game story, sort of what the story is about, the gameplay, and it's actually quite good. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Surprised? You sound surprised.
Well, yeah, because there hasn't been a Harry Potter game in recent times. Like the last one was probably like for consoles and PC.
What are you talking about? Harry Potter for the PS2, the best game ever created.
Yeah, the PS2, and I'm not sure if there's been. Yeah, there's been for the PS3 as well, but they weren't really well received. And other than that, there's the Lego Harry Potter games, which, well, it's Lego.
The one really game where you run around Hogwarts yelling Flipendo at everyone.
Yeah, but the PS2 ones were quite fun to play. But they have this new game coming out. No one really expected much. But it looks really good, and there's just so much to do as well. Like you can walk around Hogwarts. It's like an open world Harry Potter game, but also outside of Hogwarts. So not just Hogsmeade, but the countryside around it. You can
Scotland. You're just gonna walk around Scotland, just urban Scotland. It's just GTA, except you have magic and you're in Scotland.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It has dynamic seasons, so you can walk the same paths, same environment in winter, spring, summer, and it changes the types of plants that are there, that are more grown or not as grown. It has snow covering on the ground. When it rains, it has puddles there. Super immersive day and night cycle. The combat looks really fun, and not like a third person shooter like the PS3 games were. Just like an open world. You can travel by foot, or you can use a hippogriff or your broom to travel. Just an open world Harry Potter game that looks really good and has a lot of stuff to do, like dungeons and stuff like that as well.
Okay. I mean, it's really cool to hear. Yeah, you're a huge Harry Potter fan, right? I mean, it's not really my cup of tea, but I can understand why you like it. And I think the game actually sounds really interesting. I love I love open worlds clearly, but games with like dynamic seasons and where they change the existing map, but not in a radical sense. It's just like you see the existing map through a different viewpoint, and that viewpoint can be different seasons or stuff like that. I think that's really awesome when they do that in games.
Yeah,
and it adds a whole new, it adds a lot of replayability, I suppose.
Yeah, and they also showed really quite short, but they showed you can place entire buildings. You can make like a village, so to speak.
Oh, what?
Completely customize where you place certain stuff. So like, Fallout 4. Fallout 76, like build stuff like that. It's a bit simpler than in the Fallout games, but something like that. So you get an object and you can rotate it and place it where you want to.
So it's not gonna be, what was his name again? Preston Garvey, except he's British now and he just comes annoying you.
Maybe
another student needs our help. I'll mark it on your map.
I'm not sure, but it definitely does look like it's a game that will have something like that in it.
Will you be playing as Harry Potter or as like your own character?
No, you can completely make your own character.
Character builders, nice.
It's also completely voice acted, so you can probably like it has like a male and a female voice. but it's completely customizable character you can make. And of course, because it's a Harry Potter game, everyone's going to be making themselves in the game, because that's just what Harry Potter fans do. So yeah, I'm quite excited. It will be released in at the end of 2022.
Okay.
They've mentioned. It might get pushed back, of course.
Yeah.
But that's the window they've given. So we'll have to wait and see. But as far as what we've been shown, it looks quite far into development. So that's a good sign in any
For things to come. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I no English. I think it's an interesting concept. I actually really would like to see the trailer.
Yeah, you can watch it. It's online. It's like 15 minutes.
15?
The end. 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually pretty long.
Yeah, they show a lot.
Okay, well that's awesome. I do have another game I want to talk about, but I'm gonna get into that in the next episode because it's gonna take a while, and we're getting in pretty late. So yeah. That was it for me. As far as
from me as well. That's all the gaming news
the
out of the way.
News, yes.
There's a couple more topics, but we'll get into it, like you said, another time. As for now, thank you very much for listening. Like I mentioned before, subscribe if you like the podcast, like the video, leave a comment, so it will show us what everyone likes. Maybe there's stuff you want to talk about, so we can get into it. Some topics. We will certainly keep going. There's some other stuff in the works as well, that you will see released at some point. Yeah, that's really it from me as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And we will hear from you next time.
Bye bye.